but we are going to learn how to create our very own cheat sheet in a test or exam situation. Okay, so I want everyone to be able to have a piece of paper or some pen or pencil, just because you're going to see how very quick this is to just kind of sum up all of our rules. And so if you're in a test situation or an exam, you can quickly get a piece of paper and you can write this on your piece of paper, and it helps you as you work through it. Because remember, in maths, sometimes we get a little bit stressed, and when we're stressed, we don't think properly. So if we write this down at the beginning when we're still calm, everything goes a little bit better. Okay.
Don't take this
Don't you
paper
worry,
to
you
your
can get your
exam,
paper.
okay? You shouldn't
So
take
this
this
is-
paper into the exam. You write these things while you are in your exam.
Yes,
Just to make
100%.
sure
In
that's
case I was
clear, you know?
unclear, definitely what Yolanda is saying, you cannot take this paper into the exam. We learn how to write this quickly. And then when we get into the exam, we just write it onto our piece of paper. It's like a little note, but we don't take it in, we write it there. Thank you for that clarification, Yolanda. I think that was very important. Okay, so we're going to kind of break this up. You can write it on any piece of paper you have there. And if you're in a test or an exam, you can write it on whatever you have. It's just a way to sort of help you a little bit as you're going through the work. Okay, so we're going to kind of break it up into 3 different sections. So the first section we're going to break it up into is parallel lines. You don't have to write parallel lines. I'm just putting that there. Okay, so that's our first section. So let's just double check. Gugu is connected. Yolanda, can you try and help Gugu with that? I'm not too sure what's going on.
Definitely on it.
I do see the mic. And then we've got triangles, and then we've got lines. Okay, so we've got parallel, triangles, and lines. This is like what we would do in our little cheat sheet situation. So with our parallel lines, there are 3 letters, and then there are another 3 letters that we are going to try and remember when we're thinking about parallel lines. Who can think of the first 3 letters and who can think of the second 3 letters? Let's see what you remember from our last few lessons. So there's 3 letters and then there's 3 letters. Let's see who remembers. Unati, do you remember what my letters are?
Ma'am, I only remember the first letters because last week I didn't join the lesson because
Okay, what are my first 3 letters?
F, U, N, O, Z.
Good. Okay, so we have fun. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to draw in my little parallel lines. Cool, I like it. Okay, so fun is our first 3 letters. What are our second 3 letters? So what are the 3 that correspond with fun? So we're going to write fun first, and then we're going to write 3 letters underneath those. What are those 3 letters? Mamelo, can you tell me what those 3 letters are?
Ma'am, we're gonna write CIA.
Yes, we are. We are going to write CIA. Okay, so we're going to think of CIA. CIA. So we have fun, CIA. Those are the things we are going to think of when we are working with parallel lines. Okay, so if we can remember those, then we're good. So let's try and figure out what that means. Those are my parallel lines. And so those little dots there, that C stands for corresponding. Okay. If we have the U, so remember the F is with the C, the U is with the I, that's co-interior. So the I is for interior. And then the N is for our alternate. Okay, so if we can remember fun and CIA, we are good. Corresponding. So when we are looking for an F, then we're thinking corresponding. When we're looking at a U, we're thinking co-interior. And when we are looking for an N or a Z, we are thinking of alternates. Okay. Who can tell me why I put, for the F and the N, I put little dots. And in the U, I put an X and a Y. Why did I put an X and a Y in the U? Why did I not put dots? Let's see. Burley, can you tell me why?
Because on corresponding, the sides are equal,
Good.
and for co-interior, the sides are supplementary at 180 degrees, and for alternate, those two angles are equal.
Beautiful, absolutely. Okay, so if we think of this eye from the CIA and we write a little 180 next to it, then that also just reminds us that co-interior has to be 180 degrees. They are not equal to each other. Okay, and that's like a quick little summary of our parallel lines. So if we know those, then we are already on a good start. Okay, triangles. First one we're going to think of is we are going to think of that guy. Who can tell me what rule is associated with what I have just drawn? Think about what I've just drawn and think about what rule would go with it. Shaden. Yeah, what have I just drawn and what rule would go along with it?
Ma'am, that rule is angles opposite equal sides.
Good. Angles opposite equal sides. Okay. So that is our isosceles triangle.
Isosceles, sorry. I
Beautiful.
couldn't.
Shaden, yes, great. Okay, I love it. I think, I don't know how many of you have watched Angry Birds, but I feel like this little triangle with the little lines and the eyes looks like an angry bird. So that's a nice, easy way to remember it. You don't have to do that, but like as long as you've got an isosceles triangle, then we know that that's angles opposite equal sides. Okay, so that's our first triangle rule. Second triangle rule, I'm going to write X, Y, Z. What are we going to think of when we see those three things? What do you think we'd think of there? Albert, can you help me? What would we think of in this situation?
Oh, ma'am, equilateral triangle.
So equilateral triangle would be if all of them were the same. So if I wrote X, 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 or Y, 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 or Z, Z, Z. What would we do in this situation when we have X, Y, Z? Madao, I see it in the chat. Yes, beautiful. Okay, in this case, we would say X plus Y plus Z is equal to 180. And that is sum of angles in triangle. Okay, cool. Then we have one other sneaky one that pops into our triangles. And it looks like that. Okay. And we're going to say X plus Y over there, and I'm going to put an X there, and I'm going to put a Y over there. What rule is associated with what I have just drawn on the screen? What rule? Tracy, yes, good. Exterior angle of triangle. Okay, cool. So that's our parallel lines and that's our triangles. So let's move on to our lines. Lines, first thing we're going to think of is our X. Okay, so when we have our X, I'm going to do something like that. What is our reason that is associated with that? Nolon Wabo, what is our reason associated with this one?
Vertically opposite angles.
Beautiful. Vert up angles are equal. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Next one, I'm going to do a straight line like this, and I'm going to say X and Y, and I'm going to say X plus Y is equal to 180. What rule would be associated with that? Unati.
Ma'am, angles on a straight line.
Beautiful. Angles on a straight line. Good. Okay. Next one, I'm going to do this. Just going to do a little like arrow that goes around it all. What is this one going to be? I'm looking for someone in the chat here. Yes, beautiful. Angles around a point. Beautiful. Okay. So now you definitely do not need to write this out nearly as detailed as I have. You just need to have keywords that your brain can remember. So example, if you have the fun and the CIA, that's generally enough. In the triangles, for me, I can just draw like this guy, and I could say sum of angles in a triangle, an exterior angle. And for me, that would be enough. But you must think about what would be enough in your brain with your triangles, okay? With lines, lots of people just draw an X and just write vert. On a straight line, just write straight line, and with an arrow, just write round a point. So you must just think about what words would be keywords for you to be able to know what they are without you having to write the full rule. Okay, but if we can get into an exam or a test situation and we can quickly jot all of this down, that's all we're going to need as we start working through all of our different rules. And so we're going to be putting it down when we're nice and calm. And then when things start getting stressful in the test, we don't need to worry because we have this with us. Okay. Tebogo, how can I help? Just need to unmute on your side, sweetheart. There we go.
Collaboration. I don't understand in angles opposite sides.
Angles opposite equal sides.
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. So when we have an isosceles triangle, so an isosceles triangle is when we have two sides that are the same as each other. So in this situation, this line over here is equal to that line over there. When that is the same, when two are the same as each other, then these angles, so wherever those are pointing, those angles will be the same as each other. Okay, so for example, if this was x and this was 60, then we could say x is 60 because of angles opposite equal sides. So we're just able to say that those angles are the same because it's an isosceles triangle. Okay. Ochaping, how can I help?
Afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm very well, and yourself?
I'm good, ma'am. For lines,
Mhm.
by the last ones, ma'am, angles around a point.
Yeah.
That angle, why are you saying it's angles around a point? Because there's no point.
This is my point here. Like that dot, that would be a point.
Okay.
Makes sense?
Yes. Thanks, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am,
No
wait.
problem. Oh, sorry. I've unmuted you again. You can unmute yourself. There you go.
Ma'am, why
Yeah.
is the point here? By the point, isn't there supposed to be other lines joining?
This is just saying that everything around that point would be 360. But if I had like lots of lines that looked like that, and I added all of these together, then I would get 360.
Okay, thanks, ma'am.
No problem. Okay, last question, and then we're going to go into some cool ones. Burley, how can I help?
For the last one on lines, like the angles around the point, is it okay if I said like revolution is equals to 360 degrees?
That's 100% fine.
No, thank you, ma'am.
No problem. Okay, quickly answer to the two questions I saw in the chat. First of all, you'll get the quiz names, the top achievers on Thursday. Second is we'll be doing perimeter when we get to 4th term. Okay, cool. Let's jump into some questions, guys. Let's get going. So this is our very first question where we're going to start combining all of these things like today. So in this question, I am looking for A and I'm looking for B. Now, there's a few things that we want to start thinking about when we look at a question like this. The first thing we want to see is, well, actually, the first thing we need to think is not to panic, because often when we get a big question like this is we panic. We want to start looking for our different categories. So think about what we've just done. We've just done parallel lines, we've done triangles, and we've done lines. Okay, so already I can see I've got parallel lines. Yeah, Isona, we don't panic. We don't panic. We think, what do we have? Okay. So I've got these parallel lines here. I'm going to kind of talk you through how we could work through a question like this. But remember, with geometry, there's always different ways you could go about it. So you don't have to do it exactly the same way as me. I'm just going to give you some suggestions. Okay. If I'm looking at these parallel lines, I could think, well, there's a Z. Okay, often a Z is one of the easiest things for our brain to see. And if that was a Z, that would mean that this is also A over here. Okay. But that means I would first have to find that angle by using sum of angles in a triangle, which I can do. But is there a way that I can do it without having to do that? Let's see. So let's take that away. What if I had an F? I don't have an F. I have no F here. So an F is not possible. Okay. But what if I joined those two lines? Ah, okay. I have a U. And remember, we have fun and CIA. So if we have a U, then we are looking at co-interior angles. And co-interior angles are going to be 180 degrees. So these two together plus this angle need to equal 180 degrees. Okay, so I could say 108 plus 31 plus A needs to equal 180. And then my reason for that would be co-interior angles. And remember, I said you don't have to write equals 180, but it helps when we learn these things. And then we have to say what lines are parallel. So I'm going to say AB is parallel to CD. Okay, let me try and look at these questions that have come into the chat. How? So remember, whenever we have a U situations, like here's our U, all of the angles on the two ends of our U, this angle and this angle here, have to equal 180. So we're just saying this 108 plus this 31 plus that A has to equal 180 because they are co-interior angles. They are angles inside our parallel lines. Ochaping, yes, how can I help?
Ma'am, is it a must to write AB and then equals CD?
So this part over here.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's telling me that the line AB is parallel to the line CD. So that is important.
Okay, so if I don't write it, do I lose marks?
You would, yes. Yeah.
Okay, thanks, ma'am.
No problem. Okay, so the question's coming in, why don't we add the B? So this B that's chilling over here, why am I not adding the B? Because remember, when we're dealing with co-interior angles, so those are my parallel lines, okay? If this was 60, then this has to be 120. So these two together, the angles that are on the inside of my U, they have to add up to 180 degrees. That B is not chilling at the bottom of my U. That B would be chilling somewhere up here. He's not in my U at the moment. And so that is why that B is not going to be added when we're looking at this. We're just going to look at the angles at the bottom of our U over there and the angles at the bottom of our U over there. Okay. Okay, next one, what about that line crossing from A to 76? So that line is there, it gives you another way of doing it. You could do it using alternate angles, but that line doesn't affect us in this situation. It's just a line that's separating the 31 and the A. But the whole of angle A, if I cared about the whole of angle A, it would be 31 plus A. Okay. Yeah, you could use alternate angles. You could use alternate angles if you first found that little yellow dot that I've drawn in there. So if you first found that yellow dot, then you could use alternate angles to find A. Okay, so I'm just going to work through the rest of this one and then I'll get to the next little bits of questions. Okay, so if I add these two together, I'm going to get 139 plus A is equal to 180. I'm going to move that 139 over. And so when he moves over, it's going to become a minus. So A is going to be 180 minus 139. And that's going to give me 41 degrees. Okay. Yes, I know your name is not Connie. I need to change it, but I need you to remind me what to change it to.
Ma'am, it's Ayanda.
Ayanda. Okay, yes. How can I help?
Oh, ma'am, I wanted to answer the whole thing. I got it.
Okay, so this one, I'm just going to talk through this one just because it's our first one that we're dealing with and I don't want people to panic, but I like the enthusiasm. And when we get to the next questions, pop that hand up for me. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. Okay, so that is how we would find A. Now, remember, when we find things, we're going to put them in. So that's an A, guys. It's an A. Why would it be a 9 to 10 now? Okay, so that angle in there, that is 41 degrees. Now that I know that that is 41 degrees, I can think, well, how can I find B? Well, B is part of a triangle. If I highlight that and that and that, I can see that that's a triangle. And so I know that if I took A plus B plus 76, I need to get 180 degrees because of some of angles in a triangle. Oh, goodness, sorry. Okay, and I know that A is 41 degrees, so I can say 41 plus B plus 76 is 180. And so if I'm wanting to know what 41 plus 76 is, that's going to give me 117. I'm just adding those two numbers together. Now I'm going to move that 117 over. And I'm going to see that B is equal to 63 degrees. Okay. Now for a question like this, you would get at least 6 marks. You could get more depending on how generous the test is being. But you would get 1 for your initial statement, 1 for your correct reason that fits with it, 1 for your answer, statement, reason, answer. It's a lot of marks for a question like this. So for B, you could use co-interior if you found that angle. So you would first have to find this one over here. And if you first found that one in there, then you could use co-interior angles. Yeah. Okay. Did I miss any questions? I hope I didn't. The 139 came from saying 108 plus 31. That's where the 139 came from. Hey, does anyone have any questions about what they are currently seeing up on the board? Ask away. And then the next one I give you, I'm going to let you to do.
I've looked on the chat. I don't think we've missed any so far.
I think so far we're okay, yeah. Ochaping, yeah, how can I help?
Ma'am, can you please use this method using the co-interior? Because I also used it. I'm not sure if my answer is right.
So
But
I'm
not sure if my method is right.
Did you get the same answers for A and B?
Yes, ma'am. But my method did not the same because I used co-interior.
So we used co-interior for A. Are you wanting to know co-interior
for B? Yes, I used co-interior also for B.
Okay. Did you first find this angle here that I've marked in red? That angle over there?
Ma'am, no, I used it using this 76 angle.
So can you tell me what your sentence looked like? What did you write?
It's
I think we might have lost you there, sweetheart. I can't hear you anymore. I'm just gonna. Yeah, I think we've lost the thing. Okay, if you guys did use co-interior for B, okay, you would first have to find this angle here by using sum of angles in a triangle. You have to. If you don't first find that all through alternate angles, then you won't be able to use co-interior angles. You first have to find that angle and you have to explain why. Then you could say co-interior angle. So you could say 41 plus 76 plus B is equal to 180 degrees. and then you could say co-interior. But if you don't find this 41 degrees first, then you can't use co-interior angles. Okay.
I think Owetu is asking about reasons. How do we get reasons?
So our reasons are based on what logic we've used. So if we've added all of these angles together in a triangle, then we've used the logic that the sum of all of our angles in a triangle is equal to 180. So the reasons are just like an explanation of the logic that you've used. Okay. Yeah, Katiwe, how can I help? Hi.
What can you see if you can change the angle or like the angle?
Sorry, you were very muffled there, sweetheart. Can you try and say that again for me?
I said how can you explain the angle? Because you said you
Yolanda, are
don't
you
get it.
able to hear this question properly?
Tiwa is saying, how do you explain the angles? That's what she's saying, but I don't understand what she means by how do you explain the angles.
Oh yeah, Katiwe, I'm also unsure what you're meaning by explaining the angles. Can you try and think of asking that in a slightly different way and then just popping it in the chat for me? You can send it as a direct message if you would like, and then I promise we'll try and deal with it from there, okay? Okay, guys, we're going to quickly go down to a brain break, and then we're going to come up and we're going to do a couple of questions ourselves. All right. Well, I say ourselves. I mean you. You are going to do a couple of questions. Let's quickly go down to Brian for a second. Okay, so Brian today has got pictures. So it's not dingbats, they're pictures. They're using different emojis, and you have to try and guess the movie. Okay, they're not tough. So I've put a couple extra ones, just something quick for you to think about. It's nothing stressful, I promise. Okay. Okay, first movie. Ant-Man, yes. Okay, I think Fazika was our first one. Not Spider-Man. That's not a spider, guys. It's an ant. Who is thinking this looks like a spider? For those of you who have put your hands up, I know you have the right answers for me. It's just that it goes too quickly in the chat. So it's best to rather put your answers in the chat for me. Almost said Spider-Man. Yeah, there's not 8 legs, guys. Spiders have 8 legs. Ant-Man. Nice. Okay. That is movie number 1. Let's move on to movie number 2. These are all movies. Okay. It's okay what you're saying. I know networks can be tough. Movie number 2. Shazam, no. Ah, Kamachelo, yes. Fazika right behind. Yes, good. Definitely, this one is 100% Star Wars. Okay, so the previous one was Ant-Man, Star Bomb, Star Blast. This one is Star Wars, Star Wars. Because it's like a big explosion. Star Trek. Trek would be like if someone was hiking. So if it was like a star and then someone like going on a mountain trek, then that could be Star Trek. This is definitely Star Wars. A tank. Oh, that would have been good. A tank would have been good. You're right. In my head, this looks like wars. Okay, another one. Yes, yay. Good. Do you approve of these emojis now? Since my Star Wars was not acceptable. Good. Okay, we got one last one. Tree Mad Green Puppy. What movie would be called The Tree Mad Green? Oh, grandpa. Okay. Okay.
I think they are good at this ones. They watch lots of movies.
Yeah,
I couldn't even
exactly.
I could only get like the first one. The other ones I couldn't even get.
Okay, let's try one more and then we're going to jump back into some maths. No. Ah, Tristan. So we've got some interesting spelling coming out here, guys, but I'm not one to judge. My spelling is atrocious. 101 Dalmatians. They are so fast, Pasiva, I know. Dog 101. Matao. Dog 101. Yeah. I had decided that I was also going to accept Cruella for this. Yeah, Tebogo, how can I help?
A puppy flag 101.
So this one is 101 Dalmatians.
Dalmatian. Eh?
So, so
Okay.
these that's telling us that the dog has got black and white spots on it. So that's telling us it's a Dalmatian, and there are 101 of them. Hopefully that makes some sense. Just no. Smooth. I thought that you would do well with these. Okay. Nice job, guys. Let's jump back up to some of our maths. They went so fast, so fast. Okay. All right, so the question I would like you guys to work on now is this guy over here. Okay, I need to find the values for X, Y, and Z. There are lots of different ways of finding out different things. Okay, lots of different ways. So no way is more right than another way. They're all okay. Whichever way you want to use is fine. But I want you to try and find X, Y, and Z for me. Okay, make sure you're happy with your reasons. And when you're feeling confident, you can either put your answers in the chat or you can put your hand up and we can go through some things. But try and take your time, go through it step by step. I think you will surprise yourselves. No, there's no pressure on that. Promise, no pressure. I promise. Look at like the things that you can see immediately. So look for your parallel lines and think, in this parallel line, do I have an F? Do I have an N? Do I have a U? And think about how those different things could help you. Okay. Where to just be careful. It's not plus the Y, it would be plus the Z. I do see the hands that are popping up. I am going to get to you with answering. I'm just going to give everyone a little bit longer to try and work through this. Let's see. I think we're getting some good answers coming in. Okay, I'm going to give you guys 1 more minute and then I'm going to start going through our hands. You're doing really well though, guys. Just keep trying. Keep thinking about what your reasons would be. Okay. Albert, can you talk me through your first letter that you found?
Oh, ma'am, I found y using alternating angles.
Okay, so tell me what to write here. This is, imagine I'm your pencil in your test. What am I going to write?
Oh, y equals to 57.
Degrees, good. And then what's my reason? What am I going to say?
Alternate angles of parallel.
Which lines are parallel? Yeah.
EDCB.
Beautiful. ED is parallel to CB. Great. 100%. Albert, 2 marks in your pockets. Nice. Okay. Burley. We now know that y is 57 degrees. What is going to be the letter you are going to do next?
I would like to do X.
Burley, your connection is breaking you up, so it's sort of like it's staggering your sound a little bit. We can't hear you very well. I'm gonna need to move on to our next hand. I'm so sorry. Okay, Unati, you are our next hand. Can you tell me which letter you would like to do?
Ma'am, Z.
Okay, sure. What am I going to do, Unati?
So, ma'am, what I said, I did sum of angles in a triangle.
Okay, so tell me what you write.
I wrote 71 degrees plus 57 plus Z equals to 180.
Good. And what was my reason?
Sum of angles in a triangle.
Good. Sum of angles in a triangle. Beautiful. Okay, next line.
71 plus 57 equals to 128 plus Z equals to 180.
Good. Next line.
So Z equals to 52.
Good. So I'm just going to move that to the other side like that. But what you've said is 100% right. Z is equal to 52 degrees. Nice job. Great. Okay. Next, we have got Zoe. Zoe, can you talk me through how to find X?
X is 52 degrees because
What's
of
my reason?
angles on a straight line.
Okay, so did you add those ones together over there?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so that's fine. You could definitely do that. There's another way where we could also just jump straight to saying X is equal to 52 using our parallel lines. Do you think you can see which one it would be? What letter do you see there?
Is it an F?
Yeah, and if it's an F, what would our reason be?
Corresponding angles.
Good. Okay, corresponding angles would be equal if ED is parallel to BC. But if you said angles on a straight line, that's also totally fine. Okay, nice job, Zoe. Okay, so we have got Y, which was 57, and we used our alternate angles there. So I'm just going to try and draw in a little Z in orange so you can see it. So that angle would be equal to that angle. Okay, then we went into finding Z by using sum of angles in a triangle. So all 3 of those angles need to equal 52 degrees. And then our last one, we used X is 52 because of corresponding angles, but you could have also said X plus 57 plus 71 is equal to 180 because of angles on the straight line. Okay, and then you would have seen that X is also equal to 52 degrees. Totally fine. Choose either one of those, 100%. Yeah, the reasons can be tough, but that's why we have to learn the logic with the reason. If we don't learn the logic with the reason, then we're going to be in a little bit of a pickle. Okay. Yeah, Ayanda, how can I help?
Sorry, ma'am, I wanted to answer. I forgot to put my hand down.
That's okay. No problem. So for the questions about how do we find x, I've just written the two different ways over here. So we could use it by finding angles on a straight line or corresponding angles. Okay. So the x is equal to 52 because that's our f from our corresponding angles. So x is equal to z and z is equal to 52. Or you could have said x plus 57 plus 71 is equal to 180 because of angles in a straight line. And then that's what I wrote on the left. Okay. So this question that's coming up about how do we know which reason to use? I don't know how else to say it other than it's whatever logic we've used. So if you think about this cheat sheet that we've done here, okay, the thing is the logic, okay? So like if we know that those two angles together have to equal 180 degrees, that's the logic, okay? And this reason is just saying that. It's saying when we have angles that are on a straight line, they need to equal 180 degrees, okay? This is saying over here that if we have an isosceles triangle, we know that those two angles are equal. That's the logic, okay? And the reason is that is just saying that those angles that are opposite the equal sides would be equal, okay? If we are adding all of our angles in a triangle together, we know that they must be 180 degrees. That's the logic. The reason is just saying that logic. So it's saying the sum. So when I add all of my angles in a triangle, I need to get 180 degrees. So your reasons, they fit with whatever logic you've used. If you know that these two angles must be equal to 180 degrees, you need to think, why do I know that? Why do I know, like if I look here, why do I know that x plus 57 plus 71 is equal to 180? I know that it's equal to 180 because it's on a straight line, okay? Why do I know that these three angles need to equal 180? I know that they have to equal 180 because it's a triangle, okay? So even if your reason isn't 100% perfect, which it will need to be by matric, but at the moment, even if it's not 100% perfect, if you can get the right words in there, so like if you can say sum of triangle, like sum, or like sum of angles on a line, so like you're actually saying what you're doing, then it's okay. So in this one, you could use exterior angles of a triangle, but it would be quite messy. So this whole angle would equal that angle plus that angle. So it would get quite messy. No, it's okay. Also, questions are good, guys. It's never a bad thing to ask questions. Let's see if we can sneak in one more question though. Yeah, 100%. So Pasiba, this over here, this reason down here, that's saying what you've done with angles on a straight line. Totally fine. Ayana, no, we won't be doing Cartesian plane again because we've already done it. We've done those lessons, but the lessons are on the Watobe website. They are all over there. Okay. Okay. Last question for the day. No, it's okay, Pasiba, don't worry. Again, I want you to think of certain things. So I want you to see, okay, I've got these parallel lines. Using these parallel lines, can I find a U? Can I find an N or a Z? Can I find an F? And use those things to help you, okay? So we're just going to always look and see, as soon as our question has parallel lines, we need to think, can I see an F? Can I see a U? Can I see an N or a Z? Okay. Alwandes, great. Yes. Senzo, yes. You are seeing good things. I like it, guys. These answers coming in are excellent. Okay, so what we're seeing in the chat is that A is equal to 79 degrees because of corresponding angles being equal when ED is parallel to CF. Okay, because there's my F. Good. And now I know that that's 79 degrees. Okay. Now look at the rest. See if you can figure out what B is. See if you can figure out what C is. So the Cartesian plane lessons will be on the Watobe website. So you go to www.watobe.coza and go into grade 9 and you will see them there. Great. I wondered, yes, angles on a straight line. Great. Solid reasoning. Oh, careful, Naman, think about co-interior angles. Think about what it means for co-interior angles. Yeah, here there. Okay, Ayanda, talk me through my next letter.
So, ma'am, mine is not in order, ma'am. Ne?
That's fine.
It's not in order.
It doesn't have to be. You can, whatever variable you find is fine.
Yes, ma'am. I got C.
Okay, what did you do for C?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you hear me?
I can hear you. You just need to explain what you did for C.
Ma'am, for C, I said C plus 57 is equal to 180. Co-interior angles, EF is parallel to CD.
Beautiful. Okay, let me write that down. Oh, careful. It's not going to be EF. It's going to be ED and FC.
Ma'am.
So just be careful of those parallel lines. Okay, so then what is C going to land up equaling? I think there might be a little bit of a lag happening for Yanda. Just going to see if I can help her out here. So I think what might be happening with teacher Yolanda is that with load shedding, everyone is just getting kicked off left, right, and center. I think that might be what's happening. But we're going to move that 57 over, and then we're going to get C is equal to 123 degrees. But Yanda was definitely on the right track over there. Okay. And then we have got our last angle that we have to work out. Okay. Our last angle is going to be, so we know this is 123 degrees. Our last angle is going to be B, and I saw some great suggestions for that. So we saw 79 degrees plus B is equal to 180 because of angles on a straight line. Okay, and so I'm going to move that 79 over, and I'm going to see that B is equal to 101 degrees. Okay. I'm hoping that you guys were able to take something from this. You couldn't have used the other 79 as well, because remember, angles on a straight line have to be adjacent. They have to be right next to each other. They have to have a same arm in common.